Whereas the Scott County Sheriff's Department has received a grant from the state of Tennessee and the Department of Homeland Security for the provision of school resource officers at the roles in the county schools. Whereas the grant is the amount of $525,000, which shall be effective for the 23-24 fiscal year, which shall include the salaries, benefits, training, and equipment for the officers. And whereas the grant contract has been provided to the county, which needs to be approved by the county government. And whereas memorandum of understanding will you between the county government, the Scott County Sheriff's Department, and the Scott County Board of Education needs to be approved in accordance with the terms of the grant contract. Now therefore we resolve that the Scott County Board of County Commissioners hereby approves the acceptance and execution of the grant contract for the division of SROs in the county schools, as well as the memorandum of understanding between the county government, the Scott County Sheriff's Department, and the Scott County Board of Education. And be resolved that absent additional funds appropriated by the county government, any transfers or assignments of current employees of the Scott County Sheriff's Department to SRO positions with effective commensurate reductions in the department's maintenance and effort requirements.
For reading of the resolution, do I have a motion to accept? Motion by Sean, carried by second. Ms. Sean Gray, any further discussion on this resolution?
Yes,
What's this do to the money that's currently used for the SRO officers?
Okay, the county currently pays for 2 SRO positions. So Sheriff Keaton will step up here in just a minute and we'll wind up discussing some options that we wind up coming there for that money there for that. So because what will happen now is that, now you'll have a total of 8 positions, carry on the SROs that we have. And right now with this grant for 23-24, the state is covering 100% to cover an SRO in each one of our schools, not the Arizona Special School District is concerned. So,
I have some, if we could, I think my question, I have an issue with this, it's questions like, Mr. Jefferson. Yeah, there's 7 full-time positions for the schools this month.
So, yeah, that's right. Those two, yeah, that's right. And so you have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion on the resolution?
Are these officers, the sheriff, are you the one that has to say who the SRO officers are? Or is
It's similar to the one that looks like we have in the school system, the acting supervisor will be the sheriff, depending on
Sheriff will make a decision on the hire,
Yeah,
which is similar.
yeah.
Any further discussion on the resolution? If not, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Sheriff Keaton, if you don't care to step up to the podium here, and we'll have a discussion on questions Mr. Jefferson had. So basically, to get into the discussion of what Commissioner Jefferson wound up saying, what we have is and that's right on the correction of that. So you'll have 7 SRO positions that will be covered by this. You'll have 1 in each county school, but you'll wind up having 2 in Huntsville because it is a elementary/middle school separation building there. So that is the difference with that right there. So currently, right now, I know Sheriff Keaton has had a very difficult time in filling positions, obviously because, our pay is not exactly commensurate sometimes with what other counties are doing, so on and so forth. So with these positions being covered by the state, these 7 positions, the county currently pays for 2 SRO positions in our budget every year. So with the state paying for 100% of what's going on right now, Sheriff Keaton and I wound up having a discussion on the 2 positions that is currently under his department and under his maintenance, basically dissolving those 2 positions and basically reallocating that money for additional raises for deputies, corrections officers, and dispatchers. Now, our rough math, discussing with the finance director, is approximately 52 cents more on the hour with those two positions that would be dissolved. Now, that is all at the discretion of whether or not he wants to do that, because as you all know, there's only one maintenance of effort that a sheriff has, and that's personnel. You know, nobody can take personnel from him. It's something that he or she would have to be willing to relinquish on their own, because county commission cannot take personnel away from a sheriff once it has been established. So, with that being said, in a brief explanation, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Keaton and let him carry on from there.
Well, like the mayor said, we've got two positions that we're trying to switch over to this RO program, which will leave, I think, like I said, 52 cents extra for the office we have now. And that's the problem we've got now, is people still leaving, need more money. We just had 3 leave this week. So, one's about making $10,000, $11,000 more dollars a year. The other two, I think roughly is probably $2 more on the hour. So, our problem is still at this point is keeping people. So, what we can come up with the best solution for that is to abolish those two positions. About every department's having to do that right now, because we can't find enough workers to fill the positions we have anyway. But these people need more money still. So,
And let me be perfectly clear, and I know the media is here too, and everybody will go on Facebook land. Let me be perfectly clear. Every single school will have coverage.
yeah,
There is no lack of coverage, because the state is currently will pay for 100% for those SROs. So in case somebody wants to scream bloody murder, that, oh my God, they're going to wind up pulling officers out of schools, and the schools are going to be, unsecured. That is not true.
for the
So-
last few months, we've actually done something there's no other, I mean, it's never been done here before, actually. We've had SRO in every school plus 2 at high school. So I'm pretty proud of that, but this grant's come up and we need to use it. I'm still trying to help other people on the road as well.
Mr. Chairman, can I bring up my
Go ahead.
I've got a concern about that, and I'm all about, we would get more money, they need it, there's no doubt about it. You can't get it without tax increase, to fund the officers and pay them what they deserve. My concern is if you take away those 2 positions, you're still gonna have 1 at each school. That means 1 at Scott High, which is a large school. And my concern is we have right now the ability, with the money coming in to fund the 7, if you still keep 1 of those 2 positions at least, you can have 2 officers at Scott High, which the size of it, many people have been at the high school, they know how its layout is, and I know that's the center's right there across the street, but having 2 officers in that building, in my opinion, and I've worked in school, principal in school, and I feel that it would be, this opportunity we would need to keep 2 at Scott High. And you just said that the great plan you've had, to keep 2 at Scott High. This would keep 2 at Scott High. And also what it would do, I think, is whenever you have somebody's out, like sick, somebody, whatever, you do have an extra body there, then that person can go cover that school. You're also going to have a situation at Huntsville where it is one big long building, but it is a long building, and getting one into another takes a while. I was there for 15 years. So, I mean, and mostly it's been 1 officer, but the grant is 1 per school, correct? So, you can have 1 assigned to Huntsville Middle, and you can have 1 assigned to Huntsville Elementary School. So, my concern is Scott High. My concern, based on that right now, if you do that, if you dissolve those 2 positions, then you're only going to have 7 officers for 7 schools, which would have a high school, in my opinion, needs 2.
That should never happened before. Remember that. They've never had that before.
Yeah, they've not had that, except the
But
last.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen with that, because when we bring people in on this grant, they're going to be making more money. The person beside them is still going to be making lower money. Our problem is keeping those people down still. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the people coming on the grant will be making more money. The people that we're paying now is not making that amount. So if I stick somebody in there that's gonna be working alongside of them, they're not gonna be making the same amount of money.
So that's what this grant is it's not gonna be the standard rate for a police officer in.
So here's what you get. So with the grant, the sheriff or chief of police winds up getting the leeway in that grant to set the pay for that SRO for what the amount they wish to, up to amount where, I mean, that's why you're seeing some of these price tags in, like Rome County, be $51,000 for an officer for an SRO position, because they're getting the freedom to wind up, paying more people more money through that grant if they wish. So to add to what he is saying, you may wind up having a SRO deputy, which the amount was, what, 1812 for an SRO deputy, wind up being there under the grant, but they could wind up working next to the deputies at $15. But, with the raise that you wind up, we wind up implementing, and with longevity pay, we try to do the best we could without putting an extra burden on taxpayers for that. But this was a way for us to wind up finding a way to not raise taxes, but yet wind up being under his maintenance of effort, and him being willing to sacrifice that, but yet still have the exact same amount of coverage, and wind up giving a 52-cent on the hour raise to not only the road officers, but as well as corrections officers, which a jail is always having a horrible time trying to fill, as well as dispatchers, which dispatcher roles hard to fill too. So, I mean, as far as that goes, just adding what you're saying, how short are you as far as the jail and dispatch?
Well, now I think we're 4 short at the jail to 2 in dispatch, and we're about 7 almost on the road. 7.
Now, I see, that makes sense in how to attract somebody to be the SR officer, lead the road, because I know it's hard to get them to go to the schools. A lot of them will be on the road, and that experience, and that's why I got into it, because as an officer at the school walking around all day, there's not much to do sometimes. Even if that has to be the case, then maybe we have to discuss moving up one of those 2 officers itself to match that, keep it stuff high, because it doesn't change the safety concerns I have with one person covering that whole building. And it's not because, we've always had it because we couldn't afford it, but here, we've got 7 getting paid for it. And now, we could possibly look at that and make up that difference for that one SO officer to, because that would not be right at all. But I would like you just to take that into consideration. I know it's a concern, parents in schools now, it's going to be a concern of having one that's got, you're going to have one that's covered Scott High and one covered Winfield, 200 with 140 kids versus what do they have in Scott High, 700 roughly? Kids. Something as our officers, are not somebody, they're there for that threat, but ours has become so much, it's just such a different role now where they handle, parents that come in, blazing cane, wanting to fight or whatever, they're handling that, especially in the upper grades or even the lower grades, some students, and I still feel.
Well, I see your point, because I used to work at that.
Yes, you started, I remember you were in Hudson when I was there for a little while.
And I agree with you 100%, but my thing is I have to look at the whole department as a whole too as well. And I'm seeing these people leave and while they're leaving. And my point is that we got to help these as a group, the whole. But
You have an opportunity to do that, even though it's a kind of.
But you have,
Well, the other part of it is, it's a chance of wind up giving a pay raise here with a budget amendment that would not wind up adding any kind of property tax or anything on to the taxpayer. Because right now, where we're at on pay raises is that we're stuck where we're at for the next budget, 24, 25. So, it's just kind of one of those things that if there is a remote opportunity to wind up giving a raise, it is coming from the sheriff being willing to do that maintenance of effort reduction for himself, to wind up covering those raises for employees. I mean,
And I appreciate that, 'cause you don't have to do that, he can take those to keep those stop officers and keep them to not even think about it, the employees, that's outstanding, that's what he's wanting to do. It's still, it's a concern, I mean, what's everybody else think, I mean, you know,
You don't do nothing one that's got high, one that's already got high, up till recently.
Right.
So, I mean,
I have a question. It's not about that. Is an SRO allowed to leave that school in case of an emergency somewhere else, like out on the road?
We've been trying to keep our SROs this year, when I come in, we're trying to keep the SROs in the schools.
In the school.
We
They're
let
not
the
allowed to
detectives,
go out
we
on the
let-
road.
Right, they're supposed to stay in the schools.
now there's things that pop up. I had our association, one went to get coffee, and there was got a police chase in McDonald's parking lot. I mean, things happen, but most of the time, I know that's, they're gonna be there at that school. Which they're gonna be out. Sometimes they've gotta be out, and you have to share, you have to rotate. Like if the officer has to be at Fairview, then, you know, I'm sure you've had to say, hey, I need you to go work Fairview and Huntsville. Or go, you have to do that.
We've
Cover
got to do
the
it
school
the
that's
past.
empty.
Yeah, in the past, we've got to do that. We've got to do that the past.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Yeah, that's what you have to do. If you have that extra body, then nobody's losing anywhere. You have one there all the time. It's just something I think we can consider and look at, and really think about. I'm not against this plan now. I'm for trying to give us some money.
I think Sheriff trying to get his officers more money to the move. And that's just that's my problem. The one SRO officer got they've been using the whole time, and just recently added one. I think we're making the right move.
They've been using them because they have to. There's not been a choice.
We're going to look for our officer if we don't do something. It's
We're
going
not
to,
gonna match the 11,000
No.
because it's a tax rate.
no, we're not going to match it, not this year for sure. But we better try to do something to keep what we got.
And one thing I will add to that is that with this raise, you know, if this body chooses to do so, you would wind up, for some, it would be almost, if not at $1 on the hour raise, but for some with the longevity pay that's in place, for some it would be well over $1 plus. For some, it could be anywhere from $1 to $1.50 on the hour raise, you know, with this in play. So, I mean, there's some other things to consider there as well. I mean, this is a step in the right direction. Are we absolutely 100% where we need to be? No, we are not. But however, I think we're doing the right thing as far as this goes to try to get more raises, but yet also be fair to the property tax owners as well. So I think this is a great opportunity right here to handle, you know, two problems at once. And so, what I would like to do is, I would like to entertain a motion to allow Sheriff Keaton to dissolve those two positions in order to add an approximate 52-cent raise on the hour, if that's the method that the finance director is in agreement with there, what we had in the regular schedule.
I have a question. What happens when these grants go away?
If the grant goes away, then we want to come up with money to fill spots.
Okay.
The grant contract says that it is renewable by application, but there is no guarantee that it.
I started saying when new administration or new people are elected, that's what they said at the conference. You know, as of now, they plan on keeping it going, but if other people are over it, you know, you have no guarantee.
It's a year-to-year thing.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
assure you there's not a citizen in Scott County who will wind up having a problem making sure there's an officer of security in each school.
Oh, yes, I understand that. I was just wondering, we just go through the process of.
So let me finish it where I was, so we're crystal clear on what we're doing. Basically, a motion to allow the sheriff to dissolve those two positions under maintenance of effort that would equal to a 52-cent on the hour raises to be reallocated to the deputies, corrections officers, and dispatchers to wind up covering that.
Mayor, there's a lot of information that's new to us, and I'm not comfortable making a decision on
I would recommend, I'm sorry to interrupt, and I'm not against that proposal, and I've talked to the sheriff a little bit about that, and I've talked to the mayor. I would recommend that you give this further discussion at a work session, because I think I would recommend that you look at the exact numbers as to raises, because what he's talking about, and I understand he needs to do that, is you're setting a new pay scale for your employees. Correct? If you were to give them across-the-board raises, then you're setting a new pay scale.
What I'm working on is the way it's set up now, I don't know if y'all even know this, but when a new officer comes in with 15 years experience, I have to start them out at $13.99. What I'm trying to do is, wherever they worked at before Scott County, is let that stand good for experience and credit.
And that's another issue that we discussed.
That's something else we'll talk about later, because that's, I'm trying to get it worked out. That's another issue that we have, trying to get good experienced officers.
Well, so county mayor, county attorney, one to talk about is changing the pay scale at some later date to wind up giving credit for service, for years of service, which will come as a later date when we get a chance. However, what we have is, and, it's one of those things that, everybody like to line having a discussion on is maintenance of effort as far as reducing, two employees to wind up getting raised, then, if there feels like there needs to be a further discussion there, then we can have a further discussion. And if you're comfortable proceeding forward how we have, then we can, because I currently have a motion on the floor, unless Commissioner Davis wishes to rescind his motion.
All right, guys, we'll back to the city.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Taylor Stevens. Any further discussion? Voting on roll call.
I'm agreeing with Mr. Carter. It's just not enough time to do it. I know we've got to vote now, because we have a motion in the second, but it's, there's too many questions, just the things I want and the concerns. I know it's going to be a number of parents. Coverage, they've already talked about it. They thought it was a reason all of us are all options. But anyway, I just want to point that out.
Another thing too, this raise would be across the board. You're eliminating 2 positions and giving the rest of the department a 52-cent raise and some 2 positions.
It would be for the deputies, correct, or dispatch?
Doesn't matter, that's
I mean, I have a husband in law enforcement, and I'm all about doing the right, but I do feel like we need to discuss this further. I mean, this was a law firm house at one time, and I'm kind of like you, of course, as an educator and a principal, I hate to listen to SRO. And if we can put more in the school, then why not, especially in a large school between the elementary, or the middle and the high school, we have 2.
Well, you're not losing it, SRO.
I know, but I'm saying if we can add one. I mean, Scott has 2 currently, right?
Right now, well, that's just because the sheriff's done a great job at
Yes.
making that happen. That's on our reason. More than it's always one. But
We have a
now,
motion, and we have a second. No vote. So, no,
we're having a discussion.
no, we went to the vote part, but the further discussion was we went to the vote. But if you want
back.
that, so, vote on roll call.
Colbert,
Pass.
Jerry Burton.
No.
Sutton. Chadwell,
No.
Chipwood. No. Day,
Yeah.
David Jeffries,
No.
Keith,
No.
McLean,
No.
Payne,
No.
Stevens,
Yes.
Terry.
Yes. Anybody wish to change your vote?
Okay.
No.
Anybody wish to change your vote? Motion fails. So, we'll wind up bringing it up again during planning session, and so,
Just so you know, Sheriff, it's not necessarily we don't want it, we just want more time to be able to discuss it and learn more about it.
Well, I just hope there's enough employees to keep voting on. So let's discuss it, let you know.
Well, if we had a head up before just now, we probably could have came to a decision, but like in 30 minutes, it's hard to think about the kids and the employees and everybody, I'm sorry.
What is, we think about it every day.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.